Hey everybody, this video is called The Other Descendants, and tonight we continue our pass-through study here in the book of First Chronicles, where we're going to be looking at the fourth chapter of genealogy, where we're looking at the other descendants of Judah and Shelah and Simon. So chapter 4, we're going to read quite a bit of length of verses at once. We're going to start with verse 1 through 23 here. It says, the sons of Judah were Perez, Hezron, Carmi, Hur, and Shobal. And Reiah, the son of Shobal, begot Jahath, and Jahath begot Ahume and Lahad. These were the families of the Zorathites. These were the sons of the father Atam, Zezreel, Ishma, and Idbash, in the name of their sister Hazo Elponi. And Penuel was the father of Gedor, and Ezer was the father of Husha. These were the sons of Hur, the firstborn of Ephrathah, the father of Bethlehem. And Ashur, the father of Tekoa, had two wives, Helah and Nerah. Nerah bore him Ahuzam, Hefer, Temeni, and Hashtari. These were the sons of Nerah. The sons of Helah were Zereth, Zohar, Ethnam, Ethnain, and Koz begot Anab. Zobeda in the families of Aharel, the son of Harum. Now Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bore him in pain. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, oh, that you would bless me indeed, enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain. So God granted him what he had requested. So I'm actually going to break it up, I decided now. I feel led to break this up. But so verses 1 through 10 here, we're looking at the descendants of Judah. And since the focus of the genealogies is the dynastic line of King David, it makes sense that the tribe of Judah is listed first here. But we're introduced to someone in this genealogy that it goes off in a few verses. The author decides to speak about him and about his prayer life. So we see that Jabez is briefly mentioned here in the Old Testament. And Jabez, I find him interesting as we know him from this text from the town of the scribes that may have been named after him or associated with him back in chapter 2, verse 55. And in verse 9, the name Jabez is associated with pain or sorrow, and it likely associated surrounding the circumstances of his birth, that his mother named him that because there was complications or it was a painful experience. But Jabez, he was a man of prayer, we see, and his prayer was answered. And when you skip the genealogies, when you skip the first 9 chapters of First Chronicles, you're missing a theological lesson on its own in chapter 4 on prayer. And we see that he was a man of prayer, we can take, and that his prayers were answered. And Jabez, he had 4 basic requests in his prayer, as the first thing we see is that he prayed to be blessed. And we see that he prayed for an enlarged territory. We see that he asked that the hand of God be with him. And to ask for God's hand to be on you is to ask God to give you his power and presence in your life. And in the Old Testament, if used in negative sense, you're asking for judgment. So if he's not asking for God's blessing and God's power and strength over him, then he would be praying for judgment on himself. And Jabez, we see he's asking in prayer to be protected or to be kept from evil. And Jabez, he lived through much pain in his life. I mean, look at all the events that are happening in this time frame. He recognized the evil in the world around him. And so we're going to continue here in verse 11 through 23, or verse 13 through 11 through 23, my bad. Shalub, the brother of Shuha, begot Maher, who was the father of Eshton, and Eshton begot Beth Rapha, Pasiah, and Tehaniah, the father of Nahash. These were the men of Rekha. The sons of Kenaz were Othniel and Sariah. The sons of Othniel were Hathath and Menathiah, or Meonothai, who begot Ophrah. Sariah begot Joab, the father of Harashim, for they were the craftsmen. The sons of Caleb, the sons of Zephunah, were Aru, Elah, and Naam. The son of Elah was Kenaz. The sons of Jaaliah were Ziphah, Teriah, and Asarah. The sons of Ezra were Jether, Mered, Epher, and Jelon. And Medred's wife bore Miriam, Shimei, and Ishba, the father of Eshtemoa. His wife Jehudijah bore Jared, the father of Gedor, Heber, the father of Shocho, and Jekuthiel, the father of Zanoah. And these were the sons of Bithiah, the daughter of Pharaoh, whom Medred took. The sons of Hodiah's wife, the sister of Nahaim, were the fathers of Kaliah, and the Garmite, and the Eshtemoa, the Machathite. And the sons of Shimon were Ammon, and Rimnah, and Ben-Hanan, and Tilon. And the sons of Ishi were Joheth and Bo-Zoheth. The sons of Shelah, the sons of Judah, were and the father Ledah, and the father of Marsha, and the families of the house of the linen workers of the house of Ashbea. Also Jocham, the men of Chozeba, and Joash, Seraph, who ruled in Moab, and Jashubi Lehim. Now the records are ancient. These were the potters and those who dwelt with Netaim and Gedera. Therefore they dwelt among the king for his work. So, as I mentioned here, we see the descendants of Judah listed here. In verse 24 through 43, we're going to continue right along here. And this is actually going to be the end of the chapter, looking at the family of Simon. So it says, the sons of Simon were Nemuel, Jamin, Jerub, Zerah, and Shaul. Shallum his son, Mibsah his son, and Mishma his son. And the sons of Mishma were Hamuel his son, Zachur his son, and Shimei his son. Shimei had 16 and some 6 daughters, but his brothers did not have many children, nor did any of their families multiply as much as the children of Judah. And they dwelt at Beersheba, Moledah, Hazar, Shual, Bilhah, Ezem, Tolad, Bethuel, Hormah, Ziglag, Beth Markaboth, Hazar, Susam, Beth Beri, and at the Sharaim. These were the cities until the reign of David. And their villages were Etam, Ain, Ramon, Token, and Ashan, 5 cities, and all the villages that were around these cities as far as Baal. These were the dwelling places, and they maintained their genealogy. Meshobab, Zamelech, and Joshua, the son of Amaziah, Joel and Jehu, the son of Joshabiah, the son of Sariah, the son of Asiel, Elione, Zakoba, Jashoiah, Asaiah, Adio, Jesemiel, and Benaiah. Ziza, the son of Shiphi, the son of Elon, the son of Zedadiah, the son of Shimri, the son of Shemaiah. These mentioned by name were leaders in their families, and their father's house increased greatly. So they went to the entrance of Gedor, as far as the east side of the valley, to seek pasture for their flocks. But they found rich, good pasture, and the land was broad, quiet, and peaceful. For some, the Hamites formerly lived there. These were recorded by name in the days of Hezekiah, king of Judah, and they attacked their tents and the Menuhites who were found there, and utterly destroyed them, as it is this day. So they dwelt in their place, because there were pasture for their flocks there. Now some of them, 500 men of the sons of Simon, to the Mount Seir, having their captains Pelatiah and Neriah, Rephaiah, and Uzziel, the sons of Ishi. And they defeated the rest of the Amalekites who had escaped. They had dwelt there to this day. So that's the wrap up of chapter 4, the genealogy here. But we now looked at, in verses 24 through 43, the descendants of Simon. And Simon and Levi, they massacred the men of the city in Shechem back in Genesis 34, verse 24 through 30, and Genesis chapter 49, verse 5 through 7. And they were cursed to be scattered. And therefore the tribe of Simon did not have a province of their own to say, only these cities and dwelling places, villages. And in Joshua 19, it shows that Simon was granted lands in Palestine only within a rid of the southwestern portions of Judah. And this genealogy, you might notice it differs from that was given back in Genesis chapter 46, verse 10, and Numbers chapter 26, verse 12. And this may be occasioned by the same person having several names, or maybe one list taking one name, or another list some other, and so on. And to reconcile is impossible. To attempt it, useless. And the census data at the beginning and the end of the book of Numbers indicates that the population of the tribe of Simon decreased radically during the years of the wilderness, years of the Exodus. And they were among the largest tribes from the beginning, and they were among the smallest tribes at the end. And one theologian, John Trapp, he commented on this passage, stating, of this tribe was that shameless fornicator Zimri from back in Numbers chapter 25, as also as Judas Iscariot to come, as Jerome affirmeth. And in verse 41, you might remember that Hezekiah ruled Judah between 715 and 656 BC. And the Amalekites, they were long-standing enemies of Israel, whom God had purposed to exterminate. And another branch of the Amalekites' family tree had appeared in Persia, represented by Haman, who attempted to exterminate the Jews, as seen later in our fall study of Esther chapter 3, verse 1. And so, to wrap up here real quick, we look at the descendants right off the bat of Judah. We see one guy that really sticks out to us named Jabez, who teaches us greatly about prayer in the middle of genealogy. And Jabez, he teaches us to pray for things that are important, that line up with the will of God. And if it lines up with the will of God, God will grant it. And we know from 1 John chapter 5, verse 14, I want to read that one verse over here. It says, and now this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. So, if you ever wondered what is the key for answered prayer, and the key for favored answered prayer is to pray that which is within the will of God. And I know there's some false movements that say name it, claim it, so on and so forth. But when we pray, we need to submit to the sovereignty of God. We need to say, Lord, if it be your will. And we also look today at the descendants of Simon as we came to a wrap up in chapter 4. And that's going to wrap up this video for tonight, and we'll see you again next time to be announced. We'll be looking at the tribes of Israel settling east of the Jordan River. So I hope you have a great rest of your evening. God bless.